B-Bad and Brandon.
Yeah,
Newark.
right.
There's a Newark and a New York, is there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's also a Newark, New Jersey, but there's also a Newark, California.
Yeah, right.
Damn, that's
But-
confusing.
That is very confusing.
Yeah,
What time is it over there, by the way?
Avo, I think.
it is. Yeah, 4:45.
Oh,
yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes,
Are you going to do your joke?
The future is good, bro.
the future is good. All right.
Mate, Johnny, that's me. Brando, that one.
Hey, John.
Lovely to meet
Brandon,
you, man.
pleased to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Look, I was going to introduce you on the show, and then your last name popped up, and I was not going to butcher that. How do you pronounce that?
Dzakula.
Dzakula.
We would never have got.
Yes.
Where's that from? What background is that?
So that's Bosnian.
Oh,
So
right.
Bosnia Herzegovina, and then yeah, anytime you see a D and Z like that, it's gonna form like a strong J. So Dzakula,
Right.
Cool.
or just Dracula if you forget.
Honestly, that was like my go-to. I was like, it looked like Dracula.
I love it.
For anyone who's watching, just watch the intro. You'll see his name pop up.
Yep.
And for those who are listening, I won't pronounce
Just
it.
watch the
but
YouTube.
Yeah, just watch the YouTube, because I honestly was like, oh, this is surely a stitch up. Like he's fucking with us.
Just trying to make it hard for us.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
man, Boris, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. As our guests will soon find out, you do some really cool, interesting stuff. But
Yeah, it's pretty.
sorry,
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
we actually watched a little bit of, I guess the stuff you do, the end product before you jumped on, and I was like, holy shit, this is
Them cars are cool.
some serious business.
Oh, yeah. Mate, what we do is we kick it off with a question. It is 21 sounds or words, who you are and what you do. Sounds are coughing, farting, burping, whistling, etc. So no pressure. We will count them and be very strict. We're not really strict.
It's a very loose 21.
It's a loose 21. Yeah, like a baker's dozen. Give it to us, bro. What do you got?
Who you are and what you do.
Oh, man, carefree, adventurous, curious, problem solver, MacGyver.
Ooh.
How many am I at now? That's like 5.
That's right. You got plenty left.
We'll keep going, because this is really interesting.
Yeah, just chill, snowboarder, Jeeps. I like my Jeeps. Motorcycles for sure. Handy. A bit anal. Like particular. Like tools better be in their spot.
Like that's actually
Yeah,
quite interesting, because we got introduced to you as the job you do, yet you haven't mentioned that yet, which is pretty sick. There is a whole list of things there that we could just go through bit by bit. Yeah.
Well, that's a problem solving. So that's like,
Yeah.
I've
Right.
always like puzzles. I don't know how many words I'm at now, but I think that's
17.
You get the gist.
Yeah.
17. Oh, all right. But yeah, puzzles. That's Legos. That was really where I got my start. And then, yeah, mechanic, technician.
Yep.
The rest of those.
So
But yeah.
for our listeners and viewers, could you explain your actual job?
All right. So by the way, the noise isn't too loud, is it? The cars?
Nah, man, you're
We're
good.
sweet.
All right. So my actual job is my job title is I'm a senior hardware technician at Lucid Motors. And what I do is I work under the Ativa battery technology branch of Lucid, and I make the batteries for the Formula E race cars, for all 12 teams.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Me and my team.
Wow. So all of the cars all run a reasonably similar setup. Is that what it kind of is?
They all run the same identical battery.
Oh, wow.
We make. Yep.
That's
Holy
kind of
shit.
cool. So that kind of levels the playing field a little bit, and then comes down to driver skill. After
Driver
that.
skill, and then motors and inverters. That's where like the manufacturers can like eke out a little bit extra performance, right?
Yep.
If one team can make a more efficient motor, transmission, inverter,
Yep.
then
And that's what gives them the edge.
Well, I don't even like, but to be fair, like, sorry, I don't know too much about Formula One, Formula E, but before this episode, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
It's so cool. Like, we were watching some before you jumped on, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
How long have you been involved with that, bro?
so I got hired at Ativa. It's actually just 3 years last week.
Yep.
And we've been making the batteries since for the fifth generation, fifth, sixth, and now the seventh is probably the current one that's happening.
Yep. Yep.
And we're about to start production for the season 8 batteries as well. And that's our final year. And then another manufacturer takes over after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. That's
Fucking
cool.
hell.
See, those cars look quick. They're quick, right? What are they doing?
Yeah, they're pretty fast.
Yeah. Because like
They
Brandon said, we
are-
watched a bit of video then, and like we talked online a little bit. I've got a mate who was working over there as well, and he showed me some videos of them just cutting laps. Like they are fast.
Yeah, they're really fast. I think they'll do 170. So
Is that
not
miles
not
or
as fast as miles. So like
Miles.
200 and I think
Yeah,
200 kilometers or
I'll do
more.
that conversion.
Yep. Yep. And their acceleration must be
Yeah.
ridiculous as well, being a battery car.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much limited by how much grip they have.
Oh, really?
They're super light. I think I don't know exact numbers. Don't hold me to this, but I mean it's sub 3 seconds. I mean it's 2 something.
270.
270 kilometers an hour. That is for
Yeah.
you in the kilometers.
Oh,
170 miles.
yeah.
Holy
I
shit.
think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's somewhere up there. They're, I mean, to be fair, they've only had Formula E for this is now the 7th season.
Yep. Yep.
So as opposed to Formula One, where they've had like obviously like 50 years to make them, the best in the world.
Yep.
Now, electrics are just they're getting there. They're making leaps and bounds of progress.
Yeah.
The Gen 1 cars
Yep.
couldn't make a whole race on one battery. So they would switch cars halfway. They would switch cars halfway through the race.
Oh, really? Oh,
Whoa.
Yeah.
that makes for an exciting
You can-
race.
Yeah, look it up. You'll see like they drive into the pits. The driver jumps out, jumps in another car, and they keep
Holy shit.
racing.
At least I don't have to change any tires or anything. Just change cars.
Just have a whole
Yeah,
other
easy.
car set and ready.
That's-
Have you had a chance to jump in one of those cars?
I have. I got to sit in one,
Yep.
but yeah, no, they won't let anyone drive them. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Imagine
too expensive and too easy to crash.
What would one of those things cost to be like all up once it's on the road? It'd be redonkulous.
Yeah, I mean, million. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
stupid amounts
'Cause-
of power.
Yeah, because there's only a couple of them, right? So they probably count like every labor hour of R&D. So
Yeah.
So-
You would not want to be the one who crashes it.
Fuck no.
no, I'm good.
So, man, how'd you get into this? Like, it seems like a pretty niche thing. Obviously, only being, I think you said, a few years off the ground, so to speak. How did you find your way into that sport?
I worked at so I've been into cars my whole life since I was a kid, since I was in high school working on cars. The step before this one, I worked at Tesla for
Oh,
a
yeah,
couple of
sweet.
years. So I got my electrical training and high voltage training there, and I had a good friend, Will, who left a year before me to go do like he's a technician but also an engineer. He went to Lucid or Ativa, and he was like one of the test engineers, and then he did all the beta prototypes for the batteries.
Yep.
And then when they were starting production, he said, "Hey, I know this good technician. Need a guy to build the batteries." So I was one of the guys he referred, and
Yep.
they chose me, and yeah, I've been doing it.
Sweet ever since. And now
Yeah.
you've got to do some pretty cool travel with it too, yeah? Do you go to all the races?
Not all. There's 4 guys on the team. Everyone wants to split. Everyone wants to go to a race. The first season, we sent an engineer to every race,
Yep.
and not a technician. But then the batteries ended up being so reliable, and like we're like, okay, well, we don't need an engineer at every race. So the last season, season 6, they started sending the technicians to it. So I've been to Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Valencia. And then I was in Berlin also last season. And then this season I went to Valencia again, and I've been to Monaco this year. And I'm going to Berlin again.
Yep.
I need a new job.
Yeah.
I need a job where I can travel and see.
Man,
the
I
world.
should have stuck with Legos as a kid.
Yeah,
Should have done more puzzles.
Holy shit. Is there time on either side of these trips to actually enjoy the place you go to?
I've did that in Valencia earlier this year, back in November. I had like 5 days extra. I had some in-laws out there. And I tried to do it in Monaco, but Formula E COVID restrictions and Monaco COVID restrictions, they were unable to accommodate that. But hopefully by the time Berlin comes around in August, they'll loosen it up, and I'll be able to take like a couple days extra, maybe like a week, you know.
Yep.
That's awesome,
cool.
dude.
And then when you're on the event, so you kind of just working on the things when things break thereabouts, is that kind of what you do?
Yeah, kind of like a firefighter. I'm like sitting around waiting for something to go wrong.
Yep.
And then, so, you know, what'll happen is teams, you know, they'll blow a fuse or something will happen. And then I'll have to replace that. Or if they're in a crash that's like above a certain threshold, then we've got to open up the battery and inspect it and give it the all clear to be used again.
Oh, of course.
And
that'd be, are you doing any stuff like mid race, like something happens during the race and then you got to come and sort something out, or they've got their own team that does that?
No, so that's the teams take care of like mid race.
Yep.
It's not like Formula One where the races are super long, where they have an opportunity to, you know, come in and fix something. The races are pretty short, so if something happens mid race, you're out. You're pretty much done.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, if they wreck during practice or qualifying, then, you know, then that battery will come to me, and hopefully I'll get it back to them by the race.
Yeah. There'd be a bit of pressure there, no doubt, if maybe multiple teams have done something and they're like, man, you need to get my car on the track. And you're like, well, there's a bunch of other guys that need to be on that track too.
Yeah. So there's spares out there, you know, so actually we're partnered with McLaren.
Yep. Ooh.
Sorry, there's a train down there. So we're partnered with McLaren. McLaren provides like the trackside engineering.
Yep.
I'm gonna step inside.
Such a lovely day outside for you.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, California style. Yeah, we're partnered with McLaren, and she's on the phone too. My bad. They provide They provide like all the trackside engineering.
Yep.
So like they have the engineers who are like constantly watching the values.
Yep.
And I'm just there as like the specialist for the batteries.
Yep.
So yeah, like if something happens, we'll get them a spare or something, and then they'll work with that if we can't get theirs done in time.
Yep. Yeah, sweet. That's pretty cool.
Is the whole, like with the Formula E, is it to promote more of the, I guess, the environmental benefits of the batteries in cars? Like, is that what it's trying to show, or how did it formulate? Because I've, again, never heard anything about it.
So, you know, so like the official mission statement, I don't know what it is for Formula E. And I can't speak to like, you know, I'm not a spokesman for Formula E, so I can't say what their goal is. But if you look at motorsports in general, it's always like the trickle down, right? Make everything as good as possible, and it trickles down to passenger cars.
Yep.
So in this case, what I'm thinking is energy density in batteries and like efficiency in powertrains and motors and inverters just to make electric cars. So all this stuff will eventually, like, right? So Porsche is there, Audi's there, Mercedes is there, all these major manufacturers, BMW is there. All of them are doing all this stuff, and whatever they learn, right? They'll, okay, let's put it in our, you know, new BMW, new Mercedes, new.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
And then that's their chance to promote their brand while they're out on the track as well. As if the BMW is winning, everyone's going to want the BMW electric car. That's for sure.
Fucking right. That's so cool. Though.
Exactly.
I think the cool thing you said, the sport's only been going for 6 to 8 years, but if you compare it to Formula One, there's 50 years. So if you can look at what Formula One's achieved in 50 years, look, what do you think these cars could be capable of in another 10 years' time, even?
I mean, they'll be like, you know, eventually electric cars. I mean, look at it on the road already. They're faster than many gas cars, right? Yeah. And I think we'll get to the point where electric cars are going to be faster around a track than Formula One cars.
Yep.
I mean, that might not be 10 years.
Yep.
But eventually, yeah, I think so. I mean, because here's the thing, batteries every year are getting lighter and more power dense. And, you know, instead of a battery in a Tesla is like 1,500 pounds, that 100 kilowatt battery, it's big. In 10 years time, it might be 1,000 pounds, 700 pounds, 500 pounds. And then all of a sudden,
See, it's insane because, like, I feel, you know, we're making the comparison between Formula One, who's been around for 50 years, but we're in such a different age that it's almost not a comparison because, as you said, the technology advancements are happening so quick. Like 8 years ago, they couldn't finish a race without having to swap cars. Now they're going 270 fucking kilometers an hour on one battery. Yeah. Like in 10 years' time, what's the new technology going to be? It's insane that this sport could overtake Formula One in, you know, a shorter period of time, just because we're in a different age where there's better technology, more information, and like fucking really intelligent people like yourself doing the hard yards.
Well, you're giving me too much credit. I just fix them. But yeah, all the guys that I work with, the guys that engineered these batteries, they're fucking incredible. They're so smart. Like every time I build one, I'm impressed with like how, you know, because have you ever worked on something that's just shit and it's like, who put this together? Who designed this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This is something that happens to me. Like, I'm like, who put this bolt here in the way of other shit? Like this is the exact opposite. This is like, is this guy a savant? Like who put, like, this is like, it just goes together so easy. It's beautiful.
It's like art.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on, like, in your 21, very loose 21 words, you mentioned about your curiosity that sparked all this interest. Was that something that you cultivated as a child, or was it something that was always there? Because I've always found that, you know, curiosity is what sparks passion. And like listening to you talk about batteries, like it's fucking intense and I love it. Like I could listen to you talk about batteries all day long.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I've always, so the reason I got good at like fixing things, so like I've gotten good at fixing things in my life because I would always take them apart. And then my folks would be super angry. Like I'm always taking stuff apart. So I had to learn how to put it back together.
Yep.
So, and that's, I was like, oh, how does this work? How does that work? My favorite website as a kid was like howstuffworks.com.
Yep.
I would always read the articles like, oh, how do brakes work? How do engines work?
Yeah, right.
I find it incredible. I find it amazing. Like how do planes fly? Like that was just the most amazing stuff to me.
Yep.
And then it kind of went to like, I've always liked playing with Legos. I was like putting things together. And then, so we came to America as refugees.
Oh, wow.
During the like the Yugoslavian conflict in '93, the Balkan conflict, in the early '90s. And we didn't have much, right? So my dad was always like fixing things.
Yep.
And I'm like, if I can fix things too, I can help. I can, support. Like I'll never have to depend on a mechanic or depend on someone else to do it. So I was like, it just kind of like as a type of freedom, I'm gonna know how to fix my own stuff. I'm never gonna have to fork over my money
Hmm.
to for someone to fix something in the house, or wash or dry everything. I can take it apart. If I can find the instructions online, I can fix it.
Man, that is so like. Firstly, that's incredible because it almost fed a need out of necessity to be where you, like to understand how things worked and put it together. But especially like back in 93 in those like early 90s, this information was really hard to come by. Like internet's like I can't just pick up my phone and Google how to fix my washer. Like I'm one of the idiots that actually has to pay someone because
I had to use a yellow page back then.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
The old phone book, look it up. But we talk about it a lot on the podcast, and it's just that curiosity is so, it's not seen much these days because information is so easily accessible. But you seem to have taken that information and then continually questioned why or how.
Yeah, it's a lot of teachers didn't like me in school because of that. Because I was like,
Really?
I was always like, they thought I was taking the piss, right? Because I was always like, so, but why?
Yeah.
But why? And they're like, they're trying to get on with the, yeah. And luckily they didn't beat it out of me. Like stop. It's like I was lucky enough to have teachers who like helped feed that and like understood that like I wasn't being a clown.
Yep.
But yeah, I just.
What was some of your favorite things to pull apart as a kid?
Oh man, lawnmowers. Like my dad, like we didn't have much money, so my dad would like, oh, we'll pick up like free lawnmowers from people, like, and we would, and they'd take them home, and like he would be doing. I mean, I was like 7, 8, 9 at the time. I didn't know much, but he'd be taking stuff apart, trying to get them running, and I'd be like handing him tools, and or he'd like let me he'd break a bolt loose and let me take it off the rest of the way.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much like lawnmowers and like Legos. Like I'd put Legos together, take them apart. Like I'd have a huge box and I just like build, just random things.
Yep.
What else? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, anything that you could really take apart with a screwdriver, like a remote. Like I want to know like how does a remote work? All the TV, all the house remotes.
That's cool.
Did you ever fail to pull anything back together again and upset a few people in the family? Part of your construction days.
Yeah, that was kind of tough. I felt really bad, right? Because my dad was like, "How are we gonna like Boris? I have to buy this now." Sorry.
Fucking hell, man! And talk to us about you mentioned snowboarding.
Yeah.
Fuck, how'd you get?
That's my favorite thing. Years ago, I went on there was like a bus coming out of Monterey about an hour south. I used to live down there. I lived down there 2002 up until 2016. And there was like a bus like going up to Lake Tahoe, which is the the local Bay Area snowboarding spot, skiing spot. I went up there, went on a board. I learned, I fell a lot, and it's just become one of my favorite things to do. And you go up there, Lake Tahoe. The snow's not like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have good snow up in Australia, probably not.
No,
no, we don't get any up here, unfortunately. I've
we have
never seen snow.
Snow in really?
Yeah, I've never seen snow. Oh, I lived here all my life.
It's wet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a kind of, I like to explore, right? I'm adventurous, so like I like to get on the mountain and just go in the woods, just go find trails and just go get lost.
Yep. So you're getting into some backcountry stuff, bro.
Yeah, I do the off-piste stuff. Like I don't like do any like trekking. Like I don't hike up outside anything. I'll just do all stuff that's accessible through the lifts.
Yep.
But I'll stay off the groomed runs. I'll go like in the trees and stuff.
Yep.
I fall a lot. Like
hopefully don't run into any trees.
Not yet.
Touch wood.
Yeah, fuck.
Do you think that adventure is just a continued path of your curiosity, I guess, for lack of a better word, that you seem to have with everything that you do?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've been, I always want to know, like what's around the bend, right?
Mm.
Like, what am I, whether it's like, what am I capable of? Or
Yep.
like, again, like with my Jeep, like I like to go off-roading. I like to really like see what is my Jeep capable of. Can I make it up that trail? Can I make it, up that mountain through those trees?
Yep.
Can I go that way with my snowboard? Is it possible?
Yeah.
So that's everything's an adventure. Like anytime I go somewhere, I'll go for a motorcycle ride. It's like, let's see, can I get in the zone? Can I like focus? Can I like just really lean it over? It's yeah.
Man, that's such a fucking sick outlook on life. Like, just everything is an adventure. Like,
it's a pretty good way to look at things.
Yeah, if anyone's listening, just try and take a little bit of what Boris is saying and apply it to something, because like I feel like I'm talking to someone who just is living, and everything you've spoken about is so passionate. It's like, I know nothing about chess, but if you're passionate about chess, I will fucking sit there and listen to you talk all day. And that's what it feels like. It's just passion exuberates from you, and it's sick.
Yeah, tell us about your Jeep, bro. Have you pulled that apart and tried to rebuild that, or do you maybe give it a few upgrades to make it do some things?
There isn't a bolt on it that I haven't touched. But the last thing left that I need to work on is I'm gonna take apart the engine. I've been planning that for a couple of years now.
Just out of curiosity, see what's inside it, or to do something to it and beef it up?
Oh no, I've built engines before.
Yep.
I've built a little turbo diesel for a Jetta. I've built like a Toyota engine in school. It's just a tired engine. The bearings are beat. Yep. It's a 93 Jeep Cherokee, 5-speed. And yeah, I bought it 10 years ago now. No, 8 years ago.
Yep.
And I mean, wheels, tires, suspension. I've even painted it. There's a paint shop I was able to use. I mean, everything. It's literally everything I've touched on it. I've done like small little upgrades. Like I found out on the online forums that like you can swap the injectors out. The injectors are compatible because it's a Chrysler, right? You can get injectors from like a Dodge Neon in a junkyard. They're more efficient. They had, instead of like a jet, they would shoot like a mist, so they're more efficient at like lower RPMs. So I swapped those in, and I got a couple spares sitting around. like small things like, there's like junkyard runs all the time. Like there's an intake manifold that would fit from a newer model Jeep that it was more smooth and tubular as opposed to like a log style kind of like square bends. I put that on, and it just kind of changed the throttle feel. Like simple stuff like that. I haven't done like massive upgrades on turbos or stuff like that. But yeah, stuff like that. Just like, what can I do it's like a budget build, a perpetual budget build in the past 8 years. Like, how can I get the most bang for my buck? And
it's still kicking along 10 years later. That's pretty cool.
Now, just quickly, your missus, what does she say all about this?
Yeah.
Oh, she loves it. Yeah. So that's Emily. Yeah, no, she's like my partner in adventure.
Right.
I met her 5 years ago.
Yep.
And we were platonic friends. Like we would she'd jump on the back of my motorcycle. We'd go on motorcycle rides, and like one time went on a ride, 2-hour ride, went to this observatory. Oh, that's awesome. Friend called me, hey, I'm going out in the bay. Let's go on a boat. We're like, you want to go? Cool. We rode up 2 hours, just blasting on the freeway, got to the boat, did a little boat ride in the bay. And then it's like, I don't want to go home. Let's stay the night in San Francisco. So we rode across the bridge into San Francisco, stayed the night, just wandered around. And then like on our way back, we're like, well, let's stop in Santa Cruz and just go to the boardwalk and like ride some like, roller coasters and stuff. Like it would end up being an afternoon, like motorcycle trip, ended up being we came back 2 days later.
Oh, damn.
That's fucking incredible.
That's a first date and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I just feel like.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No, I mean,
I went for fish and chips.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's class. I love that.
Need to do some bigger dates to up my game with some more adventure.
Man, that's fucking sick.
mean-
Like you're just living and everything that you're doing in like obviously your job is just feeding this perpetual passion of yours and curiosity. It's absolutely fucking incredible.
Do you see the future for you continuing to work with cars and vehicles like that with what you're doing now, bro? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, for at least the next year and a half,
Yep.
we've got the contract for the last season of Formula E.
Yep.
Lucid's doing amazing stuff. I'm working on the batteries for the car that we're making.
Yep.
But I've got my sights set. Have you guys heard of SpaceX?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got some facilities about 3 hours south of here.
Yep.
And I think it would just be super cool to go be a rocket technician down, go work for Elon.
Yeah.
Well, look, now that you've featured on our podcast,
Yeah,
he'll know who you are.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's how it works.
Awesome.
We'll give him a
All right,
target.
Elon.
Absolutely. So you have a bit of I guess that again just fuels your curiosity, looking for that next adventure. Have you ever pulled a rocket apart before?
No, just just the little Estes rockets you launch in your backyard.
Yep.
It's still a rocket. It's more rockets than I've ever
That's a
pulled
lot
apart.
more rockets than I've pulled apart. That's for sure.
Fucking hell.
I mean, honestly, it's just righty tighty, lefty loosey for me. Like it's one of those things where I've always read like, oh, like whenever you get something new, like you get that manual,
Yeah.
like and everyone throws it away. I always read that. Like at least flip through it. Always. Like for a car, I just got a new TV and a sound bar. I flipped through that. I'm like, oh, that's cool, new features. There's always like little Easter eggs hidden inside of like owner's manuals that people don't know about. So that's my thing. And as long as I've got the book on something, I can work on it. It's as simple as that. It's not hard at all, like for me, but that's just the way I'm wired.
I was about to say, like for you, anyone listening, let's just put in a caution. Don't take a rocket or your car apart. We are not liable. We did not tell you to do
just
that.
righty tighty, lefty loosey though.
That's what I heard. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to take something apart and it's going to be wrong.
Yeah, that'll be the title of this episode.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
What, man, I'm curious about your path to study to get involved in all this kind of stuff. What did you have to do to get to kind of where you're at now, like post high school?
Oh man. So in high school I started taking auto shop classes.
Yep.
My sophomore year. So I did the last 3 years of high school. I did a bunch of auto shop classes.
Yep.
I actually was thinking I'd join the military after high school.
Yep.
But I graduated in 05 and Iraq was happening. And my grandma said, Boris, if you join the military, I'm going to die and it's going to be your fault. So, I mean, what could I do?
No pressure there.
Yeah, exact words. I mean, this is like Eastern European grandma. She didn't fuck around. So I'm like 17 and a half, 18. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to kill grandma. So what am I going to do?
Damn.
I don't want to kill grandma.
That's good. Yeah. You don't want to do
that. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went to the community college. I started taking some courses.
Yep.
I fucked around for years. And then I ended up getting a 2-year degree in business.
Yep.
And I transferred and I was going to continue a 4-year degree in a bachelor's in business. I did 1 semester and I'm like, no, business isn't for me.
Mm.
So I went back to the community college and I actually started taking automotive classes. So like really formalizing the education, and I ended up getting an associate's degree in automotive technology. And through that, I got an internship through the community college there. That was down in Monterey, at Monterey Peninsula College. I had an awesome instructor, James Lawrence. This guy was him and Robert Olmsted and Ian Sanchez. These guys were incredible mentors and really great. They knew I had the passion, but they knew like I was like a flame burning bright, and I just needed a reflector. I just needed to be focused in one direction. It'd be like a fucking laser. It'd cut through everything. So they helped me like focus on like, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And there was the local guy, a car collector, Don Orozco. and he went to the auto program. He's like, I want, I need an intern. I need someone who, who's good, who's not gonna, ruin these classic cars that I've got.
Yeah.
They recommended me. I worked for him for about 2 years. I was working in a restaurant at the same time, but I was working for him during the weekdays. I mean, this guy he was legit. If you look up Don Orozco, Monterey Speed and Sport, like he worked on classic Fords. So I worked on classic Fords. He had actually vintage F1 cars, like 1968 F1 cars.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That he had to, so I worked on those, like not, as a supporting role, obviously with like professionals he had there. And he ended up racing those at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK. He showed the cars at the Concourse d'Elegance in Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, he had top level stuff, and I was working on that, and that was great because there were no manuals for any of that. So when he's like, "Hey Boris, I need you to get this 1934 Ford running. I'm selling it next week."
You're like, okay.
I'm like, okay, well at least it's easy. It's got, do I have spark? Do I have fuel? Do I have air? I ended up he's like, oh, there's parts on the shelf over there. So I took it apart, the fuel pump. I figured that was a fuel pump. I took it apart and I found like a diaphragm out of another one. I was like, maybe this will work. And I ended up getting it running. I was like, fuck yeah. All right.
Sick.
What an education.
Because there wouldn't have been, you don't just go down to the local scrapyard and buy Formula One 1950 parts either, right?
No, there was, they broke apart one weekend on, I think like his son had like a 1970 Formula something. It wasn't Formula One, but it was like 1970s race car. And there was this one part on the ball joint that broke, and they couldn't, like there's no spare parts. So they went to a machine shop, a guy that they know at the machine shop, and this guy, he took the two broken pieces and he measured everything, and he milled a piece. He just like, out of the CNC machine, he cut the new threads, he shaped it exactly, and it was like, I've got a picture of it. Like I've got the old piece and I've got like a brand new piece he made out of metal. I'm like, holy shit, like this is what I want to be a part of. I want to be around people who they're creating car parts that like you can't find anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Man, that's insane.
So yeah.
And
then from that, I went to work at Tesla. So just like from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, a lot more manuals and systems and things in place, no doubt, at Tesla than working with no manuals.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the Teslas, on the electric cars,
yeah,
they have logs.
Yeah.
So when someone's like, "Oh, this started happening," I can pull up millisecond by millisecond log of what happened on any system in the car, whether the throttle, the transmission, the motor, the battery, and I can see, okay, at this instant, this, like, and you just pull it all up on a giant Excel sheet and like sort it.
Wow.
And I can see, and it's like, oh, this is easy.
That's a lot different to what you had to work through before.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, bro.
Man, that's awesome.
Mate, wondering, because you touched on saying you traveled to the US from Bosnia as a refugee. Do you ever sort of sit back and reflect on that, like to where you are today and what you're doing and your family and everything to where you'd come from?
Yeah, 100%. That's like why I'm grateful and I'm lucky, and I'm not religious, but like I'm blessed, My parents, they had me and my sister. We were 6 and 7 at the time when they came to the States. They lost everything. We were sponsored in by a church. We had nothing because of the war. So they didn't even have the language. They didn't have English, and they were 36, 37. And they started sweeping floors at McDonald's for like $4 an hour. While we were all taking the ESL classes together. Yep. And they've worked their way up, and now they live in California. They got a house. They work for the Department of Defense. They teach the language to the military. Well, they did. Now they instruct the instructors. It's complicated, but oh yeah. My mom started a interpretation and translation company. Like we called it American Dream Interpretation. This was in Georgia, like in '96.
Yep.
Like I know, based on my parents' experience, even if I lost, I'm 34. I'll be 34. if I lost everything today, like everything, like my Jeep, my motorcycle, everything, at least I don't have kids I got to take care of, and I've got the language. So no
Yep.
matter what happens, I can come back.
Yeah.
I can, even if I end up in Germany with nothing, like fuck it, I can learn the language and I can survive. I can thrive.
Yep.
So
That is such
I'm very,
you just can't teach that in someone. You can't instruct that in someone. Like, that is experience at its finest, and that is completely shaped. You can tell just who you are and how you are. Like, that's incredible, man. That attitude, the ability to recognize that even if everything goes tomorrow, I'm still sweet.
Yeah, you still. How old are you now? You said 34.
Which I want to.
yeah, I'll be 34 in August.
Yeah, so 2 years younger than what your parents were when they came to the US.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. And did you guys move to Cali? Is that where you started out over there?
No. So when we came, so we were sponsored into Lawrenceville, Georgia by some good church folks.
Yep.
They learned me American real good. I lived out there. Yeah, we lived in Georgia for about 7 years.
Yep.
And then my parents got work for the military. And then we went to North Carolina for a couple of years.
Yep.
And then in 2002 that we came to California.
And you transitioned from that accent back to normal speaking so well. Like, it was just this drop off, this gradual drop off. I was like, he nailed that.
Well, yes, accents are very easy for me. English is my second language, so it's I can do any accent if you like. I can do a Slavic accent. I can do a Southern accent. It's quite easy for me. I'm working on my Jeep. People call me Bo.
That was brilliant. I'm like, you should have done the whole episode in your Yugoslavian accent. That was sick. So effortless.
It's not too late. I can continue like this if you like.
You can see like your throat like shortening, and you're like creeping your neck back. It's great.
Yeah, you carry the tongue further back in the mouth, so it gets in the way, like almost like you're talking. But you also have to make the grammatical. You have to make the not talk so good, so it's more believable.
Oh god,
that's brilliant, dude.
Have you ever been back that way since you've been over in the US?
Yeah, on average, it's about every 4 years. Last time I think was about 5 years ago.
Yep.
I had my father's folks stayed out there. They got a farm. His dad passed like 6 years ago. His mom passed last year. So I've just got my aunt and a bunch of cousins, like uncles and other cousins, like my direct aunt, and then like second uncles and cousins. There's lots of us.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about time to go back, I think.
Yeah, sweet.
Fucking oath,
Need
man.
this world to open up and so we can go visit all the places, which would be sick. Now, sir, we have 10 questions for you. Are you ready for 10 questions?
Rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind, just to kind of get the, show us a bit more of who you are. Oh, we timed that perfectly.
Now, what word comes next? Apple, banana, house, ape.
Gorilla.
Ooh.
What motivates you to work hard?
Cash.
Who is your hero?
Ooh, Elon Musk.
Now, you're going out for a night out.
I love this.
I'm just painting the picture for you. You're with some good friends, and you really need to blow them all away with karaoke. It's a karaoke night. What is your go-to song for this night to blow your mates away?
Like, this is the song that Elon Musk will hire you on.
Yeah. What song are you singing for Elon?
Folsom Prison by Johnny Cash.
Oh,
fucking classic. Well played, sir. You got the job.
What was your nickname as a kid?
Bobo.
Bobo. How many pillows do you sleep with?
One.
Just one.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, just under the head.
Yep.
Imagine if someone said
one.
one, but they didn't put it under their head.
That's what I'm like. I'm really
You'd be like, who are you, you weird human?
yeah. Like, is it like a one, but you're cuddling it as well, or is it just okay?
Straight up.
You're straight up
He's a
normal person.
functional guy. Just one pillow.
If I'm on my side, I'll have my arm under it. But yeah.
Yeah,
Under the pillow, prop it up a little. Yeah, I run that model as
Yeah.
well. Who was your first crush?
Oh man, I don't remember her name. Some girl in middle school back in North Carolina.
She was a cutie.
Yeah, she was cute. First
Yeah.
kiss. It was
First
during
kiss.
the original Spider-Man, the upside down kiss during Spider-Man.
Yes,
Damn.
my
That was
boy
my-
ran that. Fucking
Well
oath.
done.
Was it difficult? Because I've also tried that kiss. It doesn't fucking work out the way you think it does.
It's not like the movies.
No. It was in the movie theater
Oh,
during
right.
that kiss scene was my
Yeah.
first kiss with her.
Oh.
Dope. Toby Maguire.
Did you give it
Kirsten
one of these
Dunst.
ones like that? Oh, yep.
Yeah, no, I just kind of went for it. I was yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Fucking
did,
did.
you adventurous bastard. I love it.
Now, Boris, who knows you the best?
Ooh, my grandma.
Love that.
Now, you've found a bottle with a genie in it. You've rubbed said bottle. The genie pops out of it, and it says you have 3 wishes. What are your wishes?
I wish I could fly.
Hmm.
I wish I could make every shot I take,
Yep.
and I wish I could read minds.
Oh,
That's actually 3 wishes we apart
Yes.
from the flying.
I'd love to read minds.
Yeah, that's a good one. No one said that yet.
No, that's fucking sick.
Man, that's fucking awesome. Man, we appreciate your time giving up your afternoon over there to come and talk to 2 lads who, clearly not as intelligent as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But for people wanting to reach out more about, whether it be about the batteries, your adventure stuff or anything, where can they find you? Social media, whatever it is.
Yeah, social media. I'm at bdzak313. So BDZAK 313.
Mhm.
Yeah, just find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or Boris Dzakula. Find me on LinkedIn. For professional inquiries. But
Elon, that's for you.
That's for you, Elon. We'll send him the link, bro. It's all sorted.
I'm gonna fucking tag him in there.
awesome.
Yeah, we should tag him.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing a bit of your story and what you do with our audience.
Thanks, brother.
Hey,
Appreciate it, my man.
Brando, Johnny, thanks for having me, guys. Much
No, man, it's
appreciated.
been a blast. It's our honor. Thank you.
We'll talk soon when you're at Elon Musk's SpaceX project, bro.
Fucking oath. Don't forget us when you're famous.
You got it. I'll hit you guys up.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
See you, bro.
You're good.